right, have and have not fans. This is my review for look, I've said it before. I'm just going to call this the season 8 finale. I mean, they say the final season is airing in May, so I'm going to treat that as season 9, and I'm going to treat this as the season 8 finale because I did read up on it, and apparently the final season is supposed to be 8 episodes. So yeah, season 8 episodes, and this apparent final season, we'll just say it's 8 episodes because, again, I'm going to call it season 9. But for now, let's just talk about season 8, episode 8, entitled A Showdown. Veronica plots her biggest revenge of all time. So guys, make sure you take a moment to give this video a thumbs up to show you like it. Let's try to get to 200 likes on this video. Remember, this is a finale now. This is a finale. Sorry, voice kind of went out there for a second. Also, hit subscribe. I'm trying to hit 200,000 subscribers, guys. Let's see if we can get there. We're almost at, I believe, less than 2,000 away from 160,000. So let's try to get to 200,000 before the final season airs. Also, follow me on my social media platforms. Links are in the description below. And to increase the amount of views that come from my actual subscribers, click the bell notification icon and select all. That way you don't miss out on any content. Now, I remember, and I tweeted this out, I said this in videos last week, hey, if Justin dies, this episode automatically gets a 10 out of 10. Based on the ending of the episode, because somebody pointed this out to me in the live stream, it looked like Madison was attempting to put Justin out, help, put the fire out. So let me put it this way. The 10 out of 10, that's a tentative score. Basically, if it turns out at the beginning of the final season premiere in May that Justin's dead, this episode will get a 10 out of 10. But considering we don't know if he will die based on setting himself on fire, I'll just score this episode according to my review. So remember, if it turns out that he is dead next season, this episode will get a 10 out of 10. But since we don't know yet, let's talk about the episode, and I'll give it a score at the end. So basically, the episode starts off with Benny kind of stunned that he's standing there with the president-elect, but he doesn't give a damn. The fact that, hey, my sister doesn't have to talk to you if she doesn't want to. Now, usually I'd be like, Benny, if you don't get your big head out of here, I'm like, well, no. I mean, he knows that Charles broke his sister's heart, and yes, usually I get pissed off with Benny getting in the business of, Mitch and Candace or Derek and Hannah, before the whole rape thing was known. Michael and Hannah, basically anybody that his sister was interested in. But the fact that he's well aware that Charles broke her heart, I am 100% on Benny's side in this situation. But Candace speaks up for herself and sends Benny away. I believe that it was either Charles or Landon. No, I don't think it was. Was it Landon oh yeah, I think Landon said he would step out, but Candace like, no, I want you to stay in here too. Basically, she chews out Landon for sending that reporter after Hannah, which Landon denies, but Candace knows that's bullcrap. Then after that, Charles apologizes, but to be completely honest, this scene was a little bit disappointing, not only because these two haven't seen each other since sheesh. What was it? Like season 6, episode 7 or 8. What was it? She's Gonna Be Real Mad or Show Not Tell. And then we go to January 2020 when Are You Happy? Yeah, we haven't seen Charles and Candace together since the tail end of season 6. And yeah, because if I'm not mistaken now, let me look over the episode guides. Yeah, I could be mistaken, but I don't think Charles and Candace were on screen together at all in 2020. No, I don't think I don't think Charles and Candace were on screen together at all in 2020. The last time they were together was in either June 25th or July 2nd of 2019. So to actually have these two on screen together for the first time in over a year, and it only lasts for a couple of minutes, was a bit lackluster to say the least. And remember, I'm not even the biggest fan of the Charles and Candace relationship, but I was a bit let down by that, especially when I gave last week's episode praise about, hey, even I didn't see the Charles popping up being the cliffhanger. So basically, Landon tries to go get her back, but Charles like, no, just hold it down, forget about it. Basically, Charles is convinced that she's processing how she feels about him, and he'll let her go for now. What we'll do, go back to Detroit, finish packing up to move to DC. And he pretty much pulled a Steve Urkel, like, I'm wearing you down, baby. I'm like, what? So yeah, Charles basically going to back off, give her space. And eventually, but apparently he did say that he'd keep wearing her down. So it's not like he's going to stop trying. But yeah, he could just tell by the way she was reacting to him that, she is processing her feelings and that they'll eventually communicate. So we go over to Don, the accountant, going over to Veronica's house. And it's funny, I'm looking at my notes and I wrote down Victoria. It seems I got the oval on the brain. Turns out her rehabs aren't doing well. They aren't pulling in the money that they used to. So basically, she was asking Don to pay the loan or at least convince Catherine to pay it. Because, give me a month and I'll sell one of my buildings. Look, you've done this before where you've played with Catherine's money for me. And, within a given amount of time, I've always been good on paying back my debts. So Don makes it clear like, hey, this isn't like those other times. Well, just like Jim, Veronica apparently has some dirt on Don that she wouldn't be afraid to mudsling if things don't work out the way she wants. But basically, in a scene where there's a lot of repetitive dialogue, which honestly, I did not mind the fact that we had a lot, and I mean a lot of repetition with Veronica questioning Don about Hannah, the maid, being made the executor power of attorney over Catherine's estate. I didn't mind this because this was true to form how Veronica would react to this sort of news. The maid, she's lost her damn mind in jail. What's going on? So basically, Don makes it clear that not only is she in charge, but she knows more than basically those cram sessions with Al. I believe Al. It feels like we haven't seen him in forever, but basically the gentleman from the same church as Hannah, who is helping her with her executor jargon, basically the knowledge and terminology she need to ask the right questions as executor of the estate. Because I'm glad that's actually paying off. That's something that Tyler Perry didn't even need it to. It would have been super easy for Tyler not even to include that bit about Hannah. She could have just sat there with his power, said, I'm not doing anything about Catherine's knowledge or permission, and that would have been it. But no, they actually showed Hannah studying, working hard, asking the right questions. So she not only would she not just be looked down upon, but she knew what she was talking about. And to actually have Don, one of the people who just looked down on her, talk to Veronica about how, yeah, she's not as ignorant to this as we would have thought. That says a lot. So basically, she wanted Don to, I believe, go over to Catherine's house to get the original documentation for the loans that, Veronica has with Catherine in the bank, because of the fact that Hannah knows about the loans and Veronica's playing some sort of scheme. But basically, because Don can't do that, she kicks him out of the house and she'll figure it out some other way. We go over to Benny and Rihanna, who were looking at houses. Apparently, none of them were in its price range, which honestly I can relate to, given the fact I spent over an hour at that housing lot on Saturday. And I'm wondering to myself, was this a situation where, Rihanna was showing him some nice houses he could actually afford? Or is it because Benny was just being too cheap? Like, she apologized for not being as prepared as she should have been, but it just makes me wonder about Benny. Or maybe he was saying, I'm going to throw this out here. What if he said he didn't like any of those houses so they can reschedule another appointment to look at more so he could spend time with her? That's something I didn't think about when I was originally watching the episode, but, just throwing it out there. But, he kind of flirts with her, but she wants to keep things professional. But, she said she will call him later about houses because she requests one more chance to, help him out, and he agrees. And before he leaves, he notices a photo on her desk of her mother, who unfortunately passed away 3 years ago due to a car accident. They had a big argument about her ex-boyfriend, Sandy Malone. And it was strange. Like, after that, she got into the accident. I never had a chance to say I'm sorry. I'm thinking to myself, that accident may not have actually been an accident. It could have been staged by the Malones. I'll do a separate video on that in the near future. So basically, Benny shows his soft, sensitive side. Rihanna likes it, and he goes, so, they'll probably hook up, which leads to a showdown between Sandy and Benny, and, we'll just have to wait and see how that happens. But anyway, we go over to Jeffrey and Madison. I didn't really mind this scene due to the fact that we knew where it was going to lead to in the end. So basically, Madison comes home from work. Jeffrey invites him to dinner, like, hey, let's go see a movie. Let's go to my favorite place because I want to get to know you better. And even though I'm not the biggest fan of these characters, that is a solid point because, I mean, between these two, all we've seen was like, love scenes and stuff like that, but we don't really see these two knowing each other. So it's a good thing to actually just slows things down and actually get conversation instead of sexual encounters, So Jeffrey does ask about the whole Colby situation, like his phone goes off and he runs off. Is he an escort or something? It's not my place to tell you. So he goes take a shower before they go to the restaurant, and that's at the end of the episode. So Benny gives Hannah a call, probably thinking about what Rihanna was talking about with her mother, having that argument, and then that was the last time they spoke. He calls Hannah, and honestly, it never dawned on me that, damn, these two have not been... Wait a minute. Yeah, these two have not been together on screen at all this season. So, yeah, to actually have Benny calling Hannah because, him and Candace have been at the hotel the whole season. They haven't been over at Hannah's house after she kicked them out about the money. So, long story short, it's just, hey, I just want to say I love you. We need to stop this, craziness between us. And it's like, do you love me more than $1 million? Yeah, we'll give the money back because basically your sister's dragging you down the wrong path. Jim's not going to let up about the money. Benny actually says, hey, I was the one that convinced her to keep the money. That's what she wants you to believe. And no, actually, Candace was actually considering giving the money back. But, due to what I call bad writing, Benny was the one to convince Candace to keep the money. That makes no sense. So basically from there, it's just the same old dialogue. Hey, your sisters bring you down the wrong path. That money is going to be the destruction of you. And a lot of people were saying that, Jeremy, I think that was actually given a lot of that scene alone was a lot of farewell about it in regards to that's probably the last time they're going to talk. There's a lot of I love yous and goodbyes. So who knows where that might lead in the next season, aka the final season. All right, so Benny talked about getting a house and, hey, I'm going to look at some houses and you come look at them with me. Maybe you can find a room for yourself. Again, that was my mom. Every house we went in, ooh, I could stay in this room. And I'm like, Ma, what are you talking about? But basically, she gets off the phone and Jim actually walks in and overheard part of the conversation. And Jim sits down. And this was the best scene of the episode. Low-key, this was the best scene of the episode. Jim was talking about how I want to, get this money back from your kids. And Hannah, I can't believe, she said, let it go. And I tweeted this out. And I don't want to get into it fully because I feel like every week I say the same thing. But I don't understand in Hannah's mind, or even the Malones for that matter, how, I think it was Mitch actually. How the hell do you let $8 million go? I ain't gonna lie. I've had this where I've had chips on my shoulder from people who owe me like $3, like, hey, you can't get a couple of dollars for a drink or a bag of chips and they never give it back. It's like you kind of look at them in a different way. You know what I mean? Not even like, they take you out for, yo, let me buy you something for this. I mean, those people like that. So how the freak do you expect $8 million to just be let go? Like, yeah, I could see the argument. It's like, well, I'm executor of the estate, and I know like $8 million is nothing but like a drop in the bucket. But for one, no, that makes no sense. And look, I've said it before and I said it again. Yes, I get it. Hannah's a mother. She wants to look out for her children, but it just doesn't make sense. I mean, Jim was good in this. Well, John Snyder was great in this scene. The fact that he actually seemed very sincere, like, what everybody said about you is true. Catherine, David, just the fact that you are a good person. It's like you're a rare bird in a sea of crap. I'm not going to say the S word due to the monetization, but he literally seems sincere about finally seeing Hannah as everyone else sees her. He did break it down to her. It's like, look, I'm not threatening your children, but let me just tell you what's going on here. You understand how dangerous the Malones are, right? Okay, well, I think, just based on my own research, that Mitch may have lied to your children about the protection that the Malone family will give them. So basically, if his lie is discovered and blows up in his face, then your children will no longer be protected by the Malones, meaning that they're fair game for me to go after the money. And then Hannah's like, Jim's like, the angel and the devil are going to have a showdown. Who? You mean Candace? No, I'm talking about you. And he generally asks about salvation and being saved, and like, no, I've done too much to be saved. And, he's not mocking God, but he pretty much says that eventually the angel and devil will have a showdown. And Hannah's like, well, you know what? I'll shed blood if it comes to my children. And then Jim gets up and leaves. And he honestly says, like, David really likes you. He's a good person. Now, I know the company he keeps might make you think otherwise, but he is a good man. And I could rewatch this scene several times. I probably will. This was a very well acted scene. I mean, just a couple things. Like, number one, Hannah still just refusing to allow her children to be punished for stealing millions of dollars. Not to mention the fact that Jim finally realizing that Hannah's a good person. It's like, well, Hannah made it clear several times that she had nothing to do with the money being taken. But this was at a point where I understand Jim's frustration back in like season 6 or whatever, because that's when, he popped up at the place and then Benny beat his ass and everything. It's like Hannah kept saying, I want to go take Benny to the bank and sign the money over. And every time she wanted to go, Benny wouldn't go. So I can definitely understand Jim's frustration there, but just getting the clarity that he's well aware that Hannah is indeed innocent speaks volumes. So this indeed was a very, very good scene. All right, we only got about three more scenes to talk about. Real quick, we get a Mitch and Sandy scene. Mitch comes over to the Iron Bone, and turns out that Sandy's watching a sex tape on his phone. Apparently, he recorded himself and Brianna having sex without her knowing it. Mitch calls him out about it. Like, look, that girl, leave her alone. She's not yours. She'll always be mine. Obviously setting up a plot point for the final season where he'll try to get back with her again, but then find out Benny's messing around with her, and then that'll lead to some crap. But basically, Mitch is being interrogated by Sandy. Sandy just says, hey, don't tell Uncle Vinny I'm asking this about you, but he pretty much wants me to ask what's going on with you because he's mad about something. So what did you do? And Mitch is like, man, where is he? Let me talk with him. Let me call him. He's not going to answer. He's not here. Oh, what? He banging his trailer park hose again? So basically, Mitch walks out and Sandy's just like, oh, this guy here. So really not too much. I think the biggest thing here is, once again, planting the seeds for Sandy versus Benny. And then Mitch calling Benny about the fact that he's suspicious about what his family could be mad at him about. It could have something to do with the whole Malone protection of the young family from Jim. So I'm going to talk with him, see what I can find out. So Candace walks into the room. Her and Benny talk for a little bit. She went on a walk after talking with Charles, or should I say not letting him talk and just walking out on him. And Benny gets a feeling that Charles is really feeling her. Just the fact that he could tell by the look in his eyes and stuff like that. And he actually was quite insightful. I was actually very surprised by this. So basically, as much as Charles could read Candace's emotions from her body language, Benny was doing the same thing to Charles, given the fact that they're both dudes. So he just knows that Charles isn't going to give up. And First Lady Candace doesn't sound too good. My sister in the White House. Candace doesn't want that. She wants to start over. Just avoid Charles. And believe it or not, she's the one to say, hey, let's get out of this fancy hotel and go to a low-key, low-rent hotel in order to avoid the press. She even says, like, when she starts her life over, she'll do it to avoid Charles. And Benny's like, are you sure? Yeah, I can do that. Candace is good at what she does, but I honestly don't think, look, Landon, Oliver, look, these people can find her if they wanted to. That's all I'm saying. So basically, we go over to Veronica and Tanner. And essentially, Tanner apologizes because Veronica was right that everything she said about Justin was true. And what they'll do first is he'll call Tanner to come over to her house tomorrow. And she wants to go pretty much nuclear. She wants some more explosions. A great nod to continuity. The guy who she hired to blow up David's car, the thing that killed Erica and damaged David's back, which is miraculously fine now. Since Tanner was ex-military and is currently a cop and isn't as stupid as the other bomber who was arrested for terrorist activity, Tanner will apparently help Veronica get rid of some people she wants to get rid of. So she wants to start over. No ex-husband, no son. So There are two ways to interpret this. Some people have thought that, oh, Tanner's probably going to arrange for David and Jeffrey's death. Or here's what I think. Tanner's going to be utilized to kill Laura, who will be the Veronica, because we've all suspected Laura to die as Veronica, so Veronica can start over, new identity and everything. It seems like, believe it or not, Candace and Veronica are paralleling each other, where they're both ready to just avoid their current lives by starting over. In a way, it's like, you got Candace with money that doesn't belong to her. She wants to split Georgia and start over, to avoid the whole Charles thing. Then you got Veronica with the $54 million of debt she has. She wants other people to pay it. And I mean, obviously, if she quote unquote dies, it doesn't seem like she would have to be responsible for that debt. So she'll just be getting away from David and Jeffrey and then, just be starting over herself. So I'm very interested to see how things will play out there. And it looks like they're getting to work right away. Now, the final scene, we got Madison and Jeffrey at the restaurant. And some people were like, that's a very weird setup for a restaurant. It felt like a cramped space. And I'm like, y'all ain't lying. So they're just sitting at the table. And, Madison's curious why Jeffrey took him out. Jeffrey just basically breaks down all the various things he likes about Madison. And they talk about how David's reaction to catching them having sex, and they talk about how Madison's parents are. Apparently, he loves them both. They're both Republican. They're pretty, uptight in a way, but they accept who Madison is, unlike how Veronica accepts Jeffrey. So essentially, they might be crazy, but they aren't, Jeffrey's parents level of crazy. Then Justin rolls in with a gun, and people have noted that the black couple right near the table noticed this but didn't do anything. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, they were really, really like black couple. They would have been like, let's slide on out of here, pay the bill at the door. It's like, I joked about this in a live stream, Tyler Perry, what he said, and what was it, Willie, from Class Reunion, the play? He was like, that's the kind of thing you watch from a distance. So basically, Justin just sits down and he's just going on about the same old crap as always. Look, I lost everything because of you, and I saw you two. What, you lied to me about having sex with him? I saw you through binoculars. I saw the shadows. I don't even really want to get into the full details. Like, it was just the same old Justin crap. See, oh, you want me to talk with someone? That's what I said. You don't like me. You don't like me. I try to be nice to you in the hospital. I'm thinking to myself, Justin, nobody likes you. It's like, get the hell out of here. So he's like, you smell that? He's like, put the gun down. It's like, okay, I'll put the gun down. I'm not here to shoot you, Jeffrey. I'm not here to hurt you, Jeffrey. I'm here to hurt him. But then he puts the gun down. Then he gets up. Madison tries to get up, but then he puts the gun up. He's like, hey, where are you going? And he's like, do you smell that? Gasoline. So then he sets himself on fire. And it looks like Madison's trying to put him out. So that's the end of the episode. And like people were saying in the live stream, they really shouldn't have shown the whole fire thing in the end credit scene, because Justin with the gun, yeah, we would have seen that coming. But the fire, if it wasn't in the preview, oh gosh, that would have been insane. Like, I feel like it would have left a different impact than it did. So overall, aside from some repetitiveness, not with the Veronica reacting to Hannah being the executor, but just some of the rinse and repeat dialogue from things like Hannah telling Benny to give the money back, and Justin whining as always, and let's see what else. Charles just pretty much being relentless with Candace. Yeah, I would give this episode a solid 9 out of 10, because I do think it was well paced for the most part, and it was definitely more about setup for the final season as opposed to being this over the top finale. So it really set the stage for what we can expect come season 9. So like I said, if it turns out Justin is dead, this score bumps up to a 10 out of 10. But since we don't know if he's dead, we'll just have to wait and see. But to be honest, I think he is dead, because it even seemed like, Tanner was just over the whole Justin thing. Like, instead of him being focused on Justin, it's going to be Tanner working with Veronica to rid her of these other people. So let's just see what happens come May. But thanks so much for tuning into my final episode review of season 8. Because once again, I'm calling the final 8 episode season 9. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree that this episode was about an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10? Do you think it was a 10 out of 10? Let's talk about it below. And if you'd like to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal, Cash App, or join Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you soon.